Hi guys, and welcome back to Hilltop Farm. I'm Jay, and as you can probably tell by the thumbnail, we've had an interesting few days. Well, as I said, you can see in the thumbnail that we had a bit of an accident. Last Friday we were going to get the surprise that I mentioned in the last coffee break, because we're starting something new here on the homestead, which you will find out about in the next coffee break. But we had to go through the city of Adelaide. Those of you who don't know, we live on the south. We had to go through the city of Adelaide, and we had to go to a farm out north of the city. We had done that. We'd been out north. We'd spent a bit of time on a property out there, meeting a gentleman we hadn't met before, and he was going through this thing we're going to be doing that's new. He was going through that with us, and yeah, that was good. And we were on our way home, and the busiest road really in Adelaide is a road they call Main South Road, and it's undergoing, I mean, it was originally, this road's been in place for years, and the city has grown, and it's just not big enough to take the volume of traffic. So recent years it's seen major overhaul and billions of dollars spent on it. They're putting overpasses and underpasses, and they're widening it, and which means having to buy all the properties on one side. But it's massive what they're doing, and they're doing it in sections. And when they're finished, we're actually going to have what we call an expressway. I'm sure a lot of my subscribers in the US call it a freeway. In Europe and the UK, I think they call it a motorway. Here we call it an expressway. But anyway, when they're finished, you're going to be able to get from what we call the Southern Vales wine region, which is 5 minutes from where we are. You'll be able to get on this expressway and get to the Barossa Valley wine growing region, which is on the northern side of the city. They say in an hour and 7 minutes. There's going to be, it'll be non-stop, however many lanes wide. Anyway, it's going to be fabulous. But as I say, they're doing the upgrades in sections. So there are lots of bottlenecks, there are lots of roadworks going on. Now there's one section that they're currently doing, and they've got, it's 2 lanes in both directions, and down the middle of the road they've got these things. They're about 1 metre high, but they're almost like strips of rubber, and they're flexible. Well, we were travelling along in the right, because you've got to remember, for those of you that drive on the right hand side of the road, you've got to sort of reverse all this in your head, because we travel on the left. So although we travel on the left hand side, I was in the right hand lane, so I had the oncoming traffic next to me, if you like, only separated by these 1 metre strips of rubber going along. And coming up, we were just coming up to a gradual bend in the road. We were literally almost at this bend in the road, and all of a sudden, and I had a friend, his father, this happened to when I was a teenager, I thought it was weird then, but then the same thing happened to me. I was wearing sunglasses. For a split second, a fly flew in behind my glasses. Now, I've been involved in car accidents before, as in been the one that's been hit. I have been a passenger in a car or in cars when they've been at fault. But each time I've been able to see it unfolding, if you like. So it's all, my memory of those incidents are always like it's like watching something in slow motion unfold. And so this was the first time it ever, and I've heard people say, oh, it just happens in a split second. And I thought, well, not in my experience, I've always been able to see it coming. But this is my first experience being at fault in an accident. So this fly flies behind my eye, or behind my glasses, and in the split second it took me to register, and I was with it enough to realise, well, you know, I can't just shut my eyes, and I can't. My reflex was just put up my hand, pull my glasses off and throw them on the dashboard, which of course instantly released the fly from my eye. So we are talking about a split second, right, from the time flew in and I sort of went like that, threw them onto the dashboard. As I did, and as I say, lost concentration for no more than a second or two. But in that time, I hadn't turned the wheel because I had the wheel going straight. But of course the road started to curve, didn't it? And in that split second, by the time my eyes sort of refocused on where I was, these metre-high rubber things were almost in the middle of the car, hitting the front of it. And the cars coming towards me were all shooting out of the way because I was heading towards them. But all of a sudden, as I went to turn the wheel, there was this bang, and I was aware that there was something like a truck or something right next to the side of my face, and I pulled the car back onto our side of the road, and of course I was still going with the most terrible noise. And I thought, what on earth is that? So I sort of finished going round the bend, and I'm still in the right hand lane. I'm thinking, what do I do? And I thought, I don't know what I hit. I didn't focus on anything. I made sure that Helen and my daughter Kate, who was with us, were okay. Yeah, everyone was fine. But it was a case of, well, what do I do now? And because I'd sort of slowed right down, everyone was going round me on the left, so I couldn't pull over to the side of the road. And I thought, and there was a gap in the oncoming traffic, and I thought, I'll just turn around and go back to the accident site, to the cars I hit. Having turned around, that was okay, but then I realised, having turned around, that all the traffic on that side of the road was stationary. So I pulled into the side of the road. But as I say, by this time I was, on the opposite side. I pulled into the side, put my emergency warning lights on, did all that, got out of the car, and of course, this is what I discovered. As you can see, it looks like someone's tried to peel us open with a can opener. And you can also perhaps see that although it wasn't like it at the time, we decided to drive home. We felt it was drivable, and we stopped at the police station to report the accident, which you have to do in Australia, and then we went on home. And the closer we got to home, I was slowing down and going slower and going slower. I just felt there was more noise coming from it. I had less and less control. I felt I had less and less control over it. There was just something just didn't feel right about the steering. When you hit a bump, I felt like the steering was doing a bit of its own thing. The braking made an awful noise. By the time we were about 2 minutes away from home, I suddenly realised that the car wouldn't turn right. and I knew that was alright because we had to turn left to get into our driveway. But I knew after that she wasn't going to turn right, and that the wheel had slowly moved back and was rubbing against the car. And I kept thinking, don't, for the tyre not to blow, don't blow until we get home. Because I thought if it blows, because it's been pushed back and it's against the body of the car, we're not going to be able to replace the tyre, are we? Having stopped at the accident site, I'd best go back to that. I suffer from terrible arthritis in my knees, and this accident, I must have jarred my right knee, because having got out of the car to assess the damage, it was obvious I couldn't walk back to the accident site to make sure everyone else was okay. So Helen went off down there, and it transpires that there were 2 other cars involved, but the thing that was worse was I actually, and this is what I think the car hit, I hit a trailer. It was a trailer that had a cage on the back, and I think the guy said he had furniture in it, but it ripped not just the wheel off, but it ripped the axle off, and the whole wheel and axle had twisted round and was sticking out the back of the trailer, and they couldn't move it off the road, which was what was causing the problems. So anyway, the car is home, we are all safe. Whatever went out of alignment in my knee on Friday during the accident, gave me a very sleepless night Friday and a very uncomfortable day on Saturday. As I got up from my chair on Saturday night to go to bed, I practically collapsed because it did something clicked, something crunched. It was the most awful sensation, and I thought I was going to be sick, but I was fine. I went to bed, and within a few minutes of being in bed, I realised that whatever had just happened was something going back into place, because it suddenly, although still sore, felt ever so much better than it had done before the accident. So I'm still recovering from that. It's still swollen, but yeah, is good. It's all right. And as I say, everyone else is fine too. But I just wanted to share this with you because after 36 years of driving and never having an at-fault accident, I just want to let you know that you can still learn something. I sort of thought that I've encountered, that's better, now I can see you, that I've encountered pretty much everything I was going to behind the wheel, but it does bring it back to earth, that these things can happen in a split second, and we were very lucky. It could have been an awful lot worse. Had you asked me prior to Friday what would you do if something, if this happened, my immediate response would be to say probably exactly what I did. Well, I'd pull the sunglasses off. What's the issue? That would not be my first response from now on. If that were to ever happen to me again, I wouldn't care what was behind me. My automatic response would be plant both feet on the brake and screech to a halt. And if cars behind me hit me, well, that would be their problem, because the rules in this country is you're supposed to be far enough back to stop in an emergency. And something flying into my eye, causing me not to be able to see where I'm going, I consider to be an emergency. So that's what I would do in future. And that way, yes, my car may have been damaged, but two, I wouldn't be responsible, and I wouldn't be having to pay the excess for the insurance. And yeah, I know quite a bit about cars, and I've looked at it. and I'm 99% sure that they're going to write it off. The insurance company is supposed to be sending a tow truck today or tomorrow to collect it from here and take it to a crash repairer for a quote, but I think they're wasting their time because it's not just the external guard and the headlight and the bumper and the bonnet and the door, and it's the internal guard, and it's all the suspension on that side. It's a front wheel drive, so you know, you've got your CV joints and all that are buggered up, and they're not going to fix it. They're just not going to fix it. So I know that. So we're having to rely on Helen's little car. As I've told you, Helen is 4'10", and her car is made for someone who's 4'10". So you can imagine a petite wee thing like myself having to fold himself up to get into what can only be described as a Hot Wheels or Matchbox car. But anyway, it's better than walking. That's all I wanted to share with you today. Just be careful and be safe on the roads, and don't take your years of experience for granted, ever. Big mistake. Big, big mistake. Okay, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any other of our videos. And until next time, it's goodbye from Hilltop Farm. See ya!